Co-creator of Better Call Saul Peter Gould explains the reasons behind changing the show's original, gloomy finale. In its concluding episode, the Breaking Bad spin-off developed in a distinctive way. The majority of the major unanswered questions surrounding the series had been resolved by the time viewers reached the eagerly anticipated conclusion, leaving only one: what would happen to Jimmy McGill, played by Bob Odenkirk. The Better Call Saul series finale sends a sad farewell. Jimmy finds redemption, but he must acknowledge his transgressions and responsibility for aiding Walter White, Bryan Cranston. He so consents to a prison term that might last up to 86 years. However, in the final moments of the episode, Kim, Ray Seahorn, pays Jimmy a visit in jail after he starts serving his sentence, and the two share a cigarette. It's a sad moment that reflects on the couple's love and the happy life they were living before things started to go south. In comments made to IndieWire, Gould talks about how Better Call Saul almost had a very different ending. Having written and directed the finale, Gould reveals that the initial plan for the final scene was much colder and spoke to different themes. Gould stated, "I was on the bubble about the very last scene in the prison yard. There was a version that didn't have that ended with the two of them smoking. I went back and forth on that for a while. Then ultimately, having watched them both, I felt like it was right. It felt more honest to end with the two of them apart rather than the two of them together. But those were all things that were discussed and struggled with in the editing, more so than most episodes. When we first broke this episode, the two of them were meeting in Albuquerque before he went to prison. The last scene was him in prison by himself, thinking. I liked it a lot, but it seemed a little cold. Ultimately, we all felt like ending with the two of them felt like the strongest way to go." In the original version, he was fearful about what was going to happen to him in prison, and it was a lot about the fear. This is a very different scene. It's mostly about connection, and a wistful connection. The co-creator's comments serve to highlight once more how carefully Gould and his group considered the Better Call Saul climax. Although each of these possible outcomes and modifications is significant in its own right, they all serve to undermine the show's central tenet in various ways. Better Call Saul's desire to go deeper into character and carve its own path rather than following the model that Breaking Bad established improved it and transformed it into the extremely uncommon spin-off that stood on its own. At the heart of what makes the show such a roaring success is the friendship and chemistry between Kim and Jimmy. Gould's choice of ending scenes brilliantly captures that. Beyond the show's characters and interpersonal dynamics, the Better Call Saul finale stays loyal to the series. It brings up what is undoubtedly the most important question, namely, what constitutes a satisfying and deserving conclusion for someone like Jimmy? For those who desired the character to experience some form of atonement, it isn't a joyful one. Jimmy is imprisoned, maybe for the most of his remaining years, but after paying a heavy price and owning up to what he's done, he manages to make some form of peace with the one who matters to him the most. It mirrors one of the primary themes of the spin-off, being open, admitting, and adjusting after the fact can't make everything right, but it can provide a path ahead.